for this pleasant opportunity to address you on the shortage of some childhood vaccines in the country and matters arising and the outbreak of measles in the WHO thing. And the outbreak of the vaccination program in the country. Partners, caregivers, and the population. We are aware of the implications of the shortages, including disease outbreaks. The expanded program on immunization, EPI, has been a flagship disease control program in the country, and arguably one of the best programs, if not the best, in the sub-region, with high coverage levels of over 95%. We have an established system for forecasting, procurement, supply, and distribution of routine vaccines and monitoring their use. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is true that we have had some vaccine shortages in the country since the last quarter of 2022. The vaccines in short supply are BCG, measles, rubella, and oral polio vaccine, OPV. This shortage is nationwide. The recent shortage in vaccines for measles, as regrettably as it is symptomatic of the steady global decline in measles vaccination since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. And permit me to quote from a WHO recent publication on the subject that puts the challenge we are dealing with into perspective. And I will quote: measles vaccination coverage has steadily declined since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. In 2021, a record high of nearly 40 million children missed a measles vaccine dose. 25 million children missed their first dose, and an additional 14.7 million children missed their second dose. A joint publication by the World Health Organization and the United States Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reports. This decline is a significant setback in global progress towards achieving and maintaining measles elimination, and leaves millions of children susceptible to infection. In 2021, there were an estimated 9 million cases and 128,000 deaths from measles worldwide. 22 countries experienced large and disruptive outbreaks. Declines in vaccine coverage, weakened measles surveillance, and continued interruptions and delays in immunization activities due to COVID-19, as well as persistent large outbreaks in 2022. Meaning that measles is an imminent threat in every region of the world. The paradox of the pandemic is that while vaccines against COVID-19 were developed in record time and developed and deployed in the largest vaccination campaign in history, routine immunization programs were badly disrupted, and millions of kids missed out of life-saving vaccinations against deadly diseases like measles. This was said by the WHO Director General, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus. Getting immunization programs back on track is absolutely critical. Behind every statistic in this report is a child at risk of a preventable disease. This was published on 23 November 2022. It's a joint news release between WHO and the United States CDC. Ladies and gentlemen, Ghana's Ministry of Health has been making efforts to ensure we secure adequate stocks of vaccines despite this global challenge. We have made all necessary efforts to ensure that despite these challenges, we secure adequate stocks within the next few weeks. It is important to correct the erroneous impression that there have been deaths from measles in Ghana recently. For the avoidance of doubt, there have been no deaths from the recently recorded spike in measles cases. Indeed, there have been no deaths since 2003 in our country, though we have recorded cases annually. Finally, despite the challenge, Ghana's immunization coverage remains. In 2021, we recorded 95% coverage. Working with UNICEF, we are fast-tracking the processes, and it is expected that vaccines will be supplied in the next few weeks, all things being equal. The Minister of Health, ladies and gentlemen, will ensure that we stay on track with the immunization record and quickly overcome these bottlenecks. Let me thank you, our friends from the press. I thank you for your attention.
Honourable Minister, thank you for that very quick update. Colleagues, this is a good time to take your questions. So if you kindly identify yourself, I will take your question and the Honourable Minister will respond to your question. He's provided an update of what the situation is in Ghana and what the situation around the world looks like, and has also provided the commitment of the government of Ghana in tackling it within the next few weeks, all things being equal. So, I'll take a first batch of 4, if there are any takers. 1. This will be the first briefing with only 1 question. Yes, sir. Please identify yourself.
Yes, thank you. My name is John Awuni Kesbin. Honorable, when you were summing up, you did mention that the last time somebody died of measles was around 2003, or since 2003, nobody has died of measles. And you alluded to the fact that WHO, for the way and manner they managed, not quite long, the Director General was in Korea for some award regarding to how they've managed certain public diseases in the country. So I wanted to know exactly when will we be getting the vaccines to help curb what is being in the media space, i.e. propaganda and other things that is going on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll take another question if there is another. And I think that one, the statement already captured it. The Minister says in the next few weeks, all things being equal, it should be resolved. So I think the answer has been provided to that already. If there are any questions, any other questions, I will take them. Yes, sir. May I also mention that the head of the expanded immunization program, Ghana Health Service, they're all here. So some of the questions, I'll throw them to you. So please get ready. Buckle up. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Uncle Krabba from Kasapa FM. The minority in Parliament today is threatening and disclosing that the government of Ghana is owing the Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunization, that is the Gavi, an amount. And as proud to that, they are threatening to withdraw 10 vaccines supplied to Ghana. I want to find out from the minister, is the ministry aware that the Gavi is threatening to withdraw 10 vaccines?
First of all, is it true? Not that is the ministry aware. Is it true that Gavi is threatening to withdraw 10 vaccines that have been supplied to Ghana?
And then they are also threatening and disclosing that government is owing Gavi. How true is that? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. So, Kasapa, 2 questions. Is it true that Gavi is threatening to withdraw 10 vaccines that have been supplied to Ghana? And is it true that government is owing Gavi? And maybe while at that, if I can add to that question, I mean, generally, what is the structure in terms of payment of Gavi and all of these alliances, etc.? Do we pay in advance or do we have, credit lines, whatever? So that if somebody says you are owing, it's understood in a particular context. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Noble. I work with TV3.
Hi,
I'd like to ask these questions. This has gone on for about 6 months, so you mentioned the last quarter of 2022. My first question is, what are the plans for sustainability so that we don't find ourselves in this situation in the coming years? And then just to clarify, is the minister saying that the vaccine shortage is the outbreak of COVID-19? And then my last one is, more personal, that how does the minister feel when he sees, mothers scared for the lives of their babies because there are no vaccines for them? Thank you.
Thank you. I think the second matter, I'd like to deal with it right now. The minister has not said that it is because of the outbreak of COVID-19. He did not say that. I'm sure you all heard the statement. We'll make a copy of the statement that he read available to you in hard copy and in soft copy. He has not said that it is because of the outbreak of COVID-19. He has given an explanation of what the global situation is and what the Ghanaian situation is, so that as you report to your audiences, you can contextualize what the situation is. So, Minister, the other two questions will be, what are the plans for sustainable supply? Ghana Health Service, I want to throw that question to you. What are the plans for sustainable supply of vaccines moving forward? We understand the global nature of the situation, but what are the plans for sustainable supply moving forward? Minister, there's a question to you personally. How do you feel when you hear people's pain and worry and cry that this may be something a bit more dire than we are imagining? So I'll bring that one to you. The second one, please permit me, I have struck it down because I think it's clear what was said. Yes, sir. Yes, oh, sorry, madam, sorry. Just wait for the microphone so that those at home can hear you.
So during the minority...
Your name, please.
My name is Agnes. I report for the Chronicle.
Agnes,
so during the minority presser, they also indicated that the National Insurance Authority has said an amount of 72 million that was released for the purchase of vaccines has been released to the ministry. So I want to find out how true is that. If it is true, then I would really like to know the cause of the shortage of the vaccine, because you are saying it is not as a result of the COVID-19. And if it is also not as a result of financial issues, then what actually is the cause? Thank you.
Very well. I'll take a final one from the back.
Honorable Basho, good evening.
Yeah.
Basho, my question back here, figures, if say, Honorable, if any share the number of cases recorded so far, measles, if you record, they say 100, if you say 120.
Service. I'm sure you can help us with the statistics. Yes, sir. Okay. Thank you. So Ghana Health Service, first let me take responses to these ones and then I'll come back for another one. Ghana Health Service, if you can give us a status update on the number of cases so far. And maybe while at that, if there's some general trend analysis you can give us over the years, it will be helpful so that we can contextualize what we are talking about. There's also a question, there's a suggestion that the NHIA says that they have released some money for the purchase of vaccines. Honorable Minister, you may want to tell us, where is that money? Has it gone to the necessary supply platforms or not? Noble had 3 questions. I struck down 1, which is now leaving 2. Plans for sustainable supply. So Ghana Health Service, give us the statistics and tell us about plans of sustainable supply. Then I'll go to the Minister, the question about NHIA and how do you feel. And then there's also a question about whether or not it's true that Gavi is threatening to withdraw some 10 vaccines they have already supplied, and whether or not we owe Gavi. So should I take some more questions, or I should come back to you right now? Yes, Minister. So you do the Gavi one, and then how do you feel?
Kojo, thank you very much. This is quite personal. To such people, I can't just look on and so wickedly turn my face away. So I feel like when COVID caught us and everybody was dying and we were all panicking, how everybody felt after seeing a patient in an ICU installation on a bed, dying and grasping for oxygen. That is how I feel. The irony of it is that we have brought a lot of politics into this very interesting national matter. Fortunately, I'm a member of the Gavi board. So the type of things my colleague is talking to you guys can never be true. And you can mark it. Because of our performance on vaccinations, including even COVID, Gavi has elected and selected Ghana to have one of their board meetings here in December this year. That is how far we have gone. So what we have, we are using politics to drive people away from us. What we have, we are using politics to destroy this. Look at the script I wrote, the report at WHO and US CDC, the number of countries where we are seeing even deaths. And here in Ghana, for the past how many years, since 2003, 30 years, no death caused by measles. The recent outbreak, nobody on national interest like this. Somebody asked about what we have done with the release from health insurance. These are the details of what we have done with the 72 million. And I'll read. On 29th June 2022, part transfer of funds to settle Ghana co-financing and cost of traditional vaccines and devices for 2022 from NHIA, 25 million Ghana cedis. On 7th October 2022, payment for transfer of funds to UNICEF to settle Ghana's co-financing and cost of traditional vaccines, 10,750,000 Ghana cedi. 22nd November 2022, part settlement of GOG co-finance obligation traditional vaccines and devices, 30 million. 22, when the year was coming to an end and we needed to ramp up our, monies that NHIA should give us. We also did another transfer, similar narrative, 23 million Ghana cedi. In all, we have a total of 71,861,000. How does it compare with 72 million? Apparently just about the same. And the irony of it is that that man has got this. I went there.
Minister, thank you. So, Minister has demonstrated to you where the money is gone to, and as he's mentioned, in the next few weeks, they are expecting that they will be able to get the necessary supplies to deal with the situation, all things being equal. He's also mentioned, he says we also don't owe Gavi. We don't owe Gavi as at now. We don't owe Gavi. And he's also mentioned the global currently. And I'm sure you'll be able to put it in context for your audiences. So I'll take another batch of 4, and then we'll be wrapping up. Madam, I'll come to you because you had an earlier take. I'll come to you. Let me see if there are others before I come to you. Are there any other takers? If not, then I'll come to you to wrap up. Do you have a, yeah? Yes, sir. I responded to that earlier, that had been dealt with. He said in the next few weeks, all things being equal.
So if we could get some dates to few weeks could be...
I think that the minister has been quite clear with the answers has been given.
We're still here a few weeks, and
yes,
that was soon.
The response from the minister is that in the next few weeks, all things being equal, we should get supplies now that all of those funds have necessary platforms. That would be the response from the minister. Are there others? Yes, ma'am.
My second question was not responded to.
Oh, sorry.
I asked that, so what is the actual cause of the shortage? We want to know what.
I think the minister provided that detail in his earlier statement, giving an understanding of what the global situation is. Please let's make a copy available on the press pool platforms. You put it on the platform already. Thank you. Thank you for putting it on the platform. Are there other questions? Are there other questions? So, colleagues, we want to implore you. The minister's statement is being made available to you. The WHO statement is also being made available to you. The assurance from the minister on behalf of the government is that in the next few weeks, all things being equal, we should be able to get supplies to deal with the situation here in Ghana. That's point number 3. The claims that Gavi is owed, madam, the claims that Gavi is owed, I think the minister has responded to it. That cannot be it. There's a question about where funds available are. He's also provided details of where those funds have been transferred to the appropriate platforms to ensure supply. And he's given the assurance that in the next set of weeks or in the next few weeks, we should be getting enough supply to deal with the situation. We pray you to get into the document and then to share the information with your audiences as quickly as possible. Minister, I want to be grateful to you, yourself and your team, for joining.
The Health Minister, Kweku Agyeman-Manu, has explained the reasons for the shortage of the vaccines. But what the general public wants to hear, especially mothers, is when the vaccines will get to the country. It's being said that it's going to get in within some few weeks. Hansen, what is your take away from this particular pressure from the Health Minister? Do you think that all the loopholes, all the questions that mothers have been asking as to when the vaccines will get in, the reason for the shortage and all that have been addressed?
There's a situation. The situation is that there are no vaccines for children. The Parliament has been on the neck of the Health Minister to give some answers to the nation through the legislature. Attempts to do so have not been because during the first time when the minister was invited, whether he refused or he failed or he couldn't do it, we didn't see him in Parliament to respond to some of the queries. It was postponed to today. Later we're told that he won't be making that announcement in or those engagements in Parliament. But rather
a press briefing.
At a press briefing. And then it was supposed to be at 3. Waited from 3 to somewhere about
5:22.
5:22.
Around 5,
so let's say
about
5. That's when the minister came in. Now, Philip, in putting all this into context, you want to see that if you are a parent and you've been roaming from hospital to hospital to find solution and to make sure that your child is immunized, the simple answer as to whether or not this press conference has been satisfactory is whether or not you have gotten answers and satisfactory answers that at least will give you a sense of direction as to whether you should continue to leave your office and be going to hospitals in search of
the vaccine.
I don't think it has answered that. So on that basis, has not met expectations and has really not answered.
Because with the interviews that or the stories that have come from mothers from various quarters in this country, parents are asking that when are we receiving the vaccine?
Exactly.
And the Ghana Health Service, the Director General, has indicated time before that very soon we are going to receive these vaccines. So I think
in February 27, there was a story that was reported by the VOA where the Director of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumar-Boaji, noted that some monies had been paid, and very soon, he actually put it by the end of March, we're going to get the vaccines. So perhaps in his timelines, we can say that by the end of March that he had given, we have not gotten to there yet. So if you are working strictly by the timelines he had given, the very soon he had given, we had not gotten to the time for which we should get the vaccines. But now here's a minister who has also come to speak. Now from February 27, when somebody gives you a timeline and so by close of March, we are going to get the vaccines. The interpretation that you can give to it is that, so no, if all other things being equal, yes, the maximum length that you should wait for is by the end of March. It doesn't mean that we should wait to the end of March before you get it. You just want to play on the side of caution. Now, we are in the first week of March,
yes.
about entering into the second week of March. The Minister of Health has come to give a presser, and he's not very specific on when these vaccines.
Then again, do you think that government is trying to play safe as to when these vaccines will be gotten? Because if you should give timelines, say by close of March or first week in April, we should receive these vaccines and they are not in by that time, maybe mothers will now start
perhaps
asking more
our
questions.
threshold in analyzing this will be how we treated COVID-19. And I take you to COVID-19. At that time, one of the persons who was spearheading the communications of the government, aside Kujokon Nkrumah, was then former Deputy Health Minister, Dr. Bernard Okoboy. Dr. Bernard Okoboy, on an interview with Bernard Avle on Point of View, when Bernard asked him what were the most important things that we should be looking out for in pandemics, in epidemics, in health issues, he indicated that communication is the single most important thing, because when people have information, they have a direction as to how they should live their life and how they should do things. Now, if you are taking that, and we know how government invested very well in communication when the COVID came. Now here we are, there are no vaccines. Whether or not we can escalate the shortage of vaccines to the health situation that we were having as of the time we were facing COVID-19, it's a different game altogether. But there's a health situation on our hand. And if what Dr. Bernard Okoboy said is anything to go by, you want to believe that.
Well, we'll keep it a thought. Let's cross over to the Information Ministry, because we have some officials still addressing the press on the issue.
The global picture was about, national picture was about 398 cases, and as the minister said, there will be no death so far. But I must add that measles, because there are still kids who don't get the vaccination, every 3 to 5 years, you're supposed to get some outbreak, and that's why we always organize a catch-up campaign for them. So this year we are planning to do a mass campaign for them to mop up all those kids who don't get vaccine. As they aggregate, it becomes a big number and they can force transmission. So that is what it is. So clearly, we've had a similar number, higher number in 2011, but that was not because there was no vaccination, but because these are the same phenomenon that brings about some of these outbreaks. Minister has talked about the sustainability. I think there's always been a system of getting vaccination. That's why over the years we've not had any serious shortage of vaccines. But we will continue to ensure the systems are, the forecasting is done properly. We make procurement early enough and make sure that before anything happens, we are actually getting vaccines for all. There are several systems in place. The NHIA support system. There are also, the ministry is working on talking some additional private funding if there's any shortage that to be able to deliver. So I think this is a hitch, but we must agree that over the years, we've not had shortage, and that the same system that will be enhanced to make sure we don't come to this situation again. Thank you very much.
Okay, colleagues, so we'll draw down the curtain and we thank you for your attention. Thank you very much. I'm told that we've been live on Ghana Television and on TV3. We thank you for carrying us live. And for the rest of you, we thank you even ahead of your reportage. Thank you.
So addressing the press in addition to the health minister is the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kuma Abuaji. And he indicated that at least government is going to ensure that there is going to be early procurement of the vaccines to avoid these issues of shortages in the process.
So, Philip, the point we've been making here is that the fact that the government has not been able to be specific about when we are going to get these vaccines in a way, makes the situation more dire, and if not handled properly, could bring about more panic within the situation. And that's why I was stressing on the communication, because if you are not able to immediately settle the issues and solve matters, then your communication should be able to give some level of confidence. And that's why I think that this situation has not been handled properly. The Minister of Health was making the point about how this has been politicized.
Yeah. When the question of they owing Gavi and all that came into the question, whether Gavi is threatening to withdraw its support.
You may want to agree or disagree with him. But let's say for a moment, let's assume that some politics is being done with this. Now, when politics is being done with this, this will mean that some level of misinformation is in the system. And specifically with the Gavi matter, the Minister of Health is assuring that Gavi is not withdrawing its support to Ghana. But I don't think that the minister himself has taken politics out. And for most of the issues he discussed, he did not speak as though he's addressing that mother at home who is worried about when her child can't get
but
vaccine.
The minister said he's also perturbed about it.
No, you see,
parents go through these hardships and babies die and all that.
Talking about being perturbed is not enough to give the comfort that a mother needs to be assured that everything will be okay. And this is what I mean. Now, the minister comes to give a statement, and his statement specifically singles out global shortage as cause. Then there are Q&As, and then there's the issue about monies being allocated from the National Health Insurance Scheme or authority.
He spoke about what the monies have been used for.
For the purposes of the payment. Now, the facts of those monies came during when? During Q&A. The facts of that came during Q&A.
So it wasn't in his original
It wasn't in his
statement.
original statement. And I'm saying that if the minister had also taken politics out of it, what he would have done is to address us, okay, there's global shortage. This is what, from last quarter of 2022, from June 29, we paid 25 million cedis. From October 7, we paid this. From November 22, we paid this. From December 31, we paid all this in the report. Now, after telling us that government has made its own efforts, and because of shortage, we are not getting it, go a step further to give us how government is going behind these shortages. But when there are global shortages, then it comes with global politics. And when it comes to global politics, the manufacturers will be looking at people who they think they have the will and the financial muscles to pay, and they'll give it to them first. Remember COVID? When COVID came and we couldn't make the payments, the argument was that some of these manufacturers were looking at giving it first to countries who they think can pay. And had been made. It was part payments. Some were part payments, and some were bilateral arrangements with other agencies. My point is that after the minister, if the minister had included this effort by government with respect to payment, and had gone ahead to show us what they've done further to make sure that they are also playing their bit when it comes to the global politics with shortages, then we know that you are trying to, and you are creating a picture, a broader picture of what the situation really is. And if anybody goes back to watch the video, when the minister got to this all-important part, he said, it's politics, and I'll end here.
With the 72
when he said, so his point that if you total it, it's 71 million. Where that 71 million puts you to 72 million. And then he says, I'll end here. I don't think that is you taking politics out of it. You've spent 71 million. But the ultimate aim is you've spent 71 million. What are the vaccines?
So the vaccine we want. And they
what are the vaccines? You spent 71 million. We've not seen the vaccines. The mother who gave birth 2 months ago, 3 months ago,
to see the vaccine.
She's not seen the vaccine. So if a press conference when media houses have given you their platform, and you cannot tell us directly that you said you paid 71 million, and you cannot assure us that this 71 million, this and this is when we are going to get the vaccines, and you think that you will use that as a platform to answer Minta Akando, the ranking member of finance on health, yes, and his colleagues. I don't think you yourself, you're taking out politics. And this is why I also believe that he's not taking out politics. Now, Dr. Patrick Kumabwaje, he gave an interview to the VOA. Now, this is a direct quote from him. We have had some delays in procuring some of the vaccines for which polio are in short supply. It was also because the ministry's budget to procure them are insidious. And at the time it was due for procurement, because of exchange differences, it was very difficult to procure. So now we've done it. Now, this is the director of the Ghana Health Service. This is an interview he granted on February 27. The director of the Ghana Health Service was at the Ministry of Information when this press conference was being held. Actually, he was the last person to speak on the matter. Now, you cannot tell me that the Minister of Health will not have gotten briefing from the Ghana Health Service.
Well,
and you cannot tell me that
made mention of the fact
you
that
cannot
the
tell me that
of the city has played a role.
But I'm saying that
yes,
the Minister of Health, when he
never made mention of it.
He created a situation as though it's only a matter of global shortage. I'm saying that the situation goes beyond that. So if we are candid about the situation and really want to let people understand what is happening, you won't tell me that you will ignore the point about exchange. To understand what is happening, you don't deliberately take out some of these facts. This is a fact from the director of the Ghana Health Service, and I'm saying that at any point in time in attempting to procure it, and exchange rate issues was a problem, it is not an immaterial fact that you should ignore at such a press conference and later tell us that some people are doing politics with it. And I'm saying that you are equally doing politics with it. And the other thing is that there were experts at this particular press conference.
Dr. Patrick Achano was there,
the immunization program director. That if this press conference had been organized properly, so-called, after everything, a little bit of public education.
Well, the Director General said that they're going to intensify education, and also the minister also indicated that there was some form of
when you have a number of Ghanaians watching and listening to you.
So the education after previous then.
After attempts by Parliament to get you to come and explain, and you get this platform, and their parents reasonably listening to you,
listening and watching,
you take the opportunity to attempt one or two explanations. What explanation am I looking for? If your child is so and so, according to scientific knowledge, vaccination can be done within a certain space of time. So parents should not be that worried and that everything is under control. I mean, explanation as to vaccination and answer the question as to whether or not, if a parent does not get his or her child vaccinated today and tomorrow, would that in essence put the life of the child at risk? If it will, what can they do? If not, what should they do? And what signs should they look out for before going back to the hospitals? Now, I'm raising this point because we've come a long way as a people. You heard them tout Ghana's credentials since 2003. Yeah. There have not been any death related to measles. Now, they've not been deaths because of vaccinations. Previously, they've been deaths because there was no vaccinations and people were relying on some other methods of vaccination. Now, when you are not giving people clear information and clear education on how things are, you can get a parent panicking and going for, Neil Ate previously on this platform has explained at length how people can use some other, not vaccination, but for lack of better words, traditional methods in as a way of treating their children or trying to make them immune in their own way to some of these diseases. You will want to prevent these things. So for me, I think that the ministry should come again. The ministry should come again. They said they are going to intensify education. I think that
to ensure that the
we didn't seize the opportunity to distill politics from this all-important issue. If we have seized that opportunity, a lot of questions would have been answered. But this is, and I'm no health expert, and I cannot give any assurance to any parent on this platform. And I think that since they've assured that they are going to do some level of education, they should intensify those educations and try as much. The videos we played earlier, these are worried parents. These do not in any way look like parents who have been given information as to what to do because they are not vaccinated. They've gone to the facility
themselves and if not had the vaccines and they had to complain about it. But even earlier, the health ministry or the Ghana Health Service didn't come out to talk about the shortage. It was mothers who had challenges getting these vaccines had to come out and talk about it before we got here.
This brings me to the other point about how sometimes we are not proactive with certain things. Now, this started some 6 months ago. It started with one district, 2 districts, multiple districts, 1 region, 2 regions, and then a lot more was not done. And you have about 10 regions out of 14 regions out of shortage. Philip, why should we wait? Why should we wait for even 2 districts to have shortage? I mean, if it's 1 district, you can say that go to the other, not even a district. Let's say 1 health facility in a district is without vaccines. You can say go to the next health facility. An entire district, 2 districts, 1 region, 2 regions, 10 regions. Oh, come on. I mean, we can't be doing this to ourselves. We can't be doing this to the Ghanaian who has voted us into power. And health is one of the things that is of utmost priority.
Ensuring that at least the leadership would ensure that the needed facilities created so that everybody will be free in this country.
And so I think that Parliament will still have to push their accountability bit. I think that this was a platform that was very accommodating to the Minister of Health. I think that Parliament and the minority will still have to push for their to Parliament.
Well, so this has been our coverage here of the Health Minister's live briefing of the press concerning the shortage of vaccines. The media, we are the 4th arm of government. We are the watchdogs. We are supposed to ensure that everything goes on well in concerning this particular vaccine, and mothers are supposed to get what is expected of them to ensure that their babies are safe. We will keep you posted, updated on this issue as it unfolds. The ministry, the Ghana Health Service, has stated that, well, the vaccines will be in some few weeks. Very soon, they are making all the frantic efforts to ensure that mothers receive the vaccines and also facilities receive the vaccines so that their babies will be immunized. My name is Philip Nihlate. I did this with Hansen Ajiman. Many thanks for your time and keep watching City TV.